Rana Singh, the way he has manipulated his game, I think a lot of options available for him as well. And then Satmina Pereira, new combination from last year, so we'll see how this works out. Then we'll take a look at their strength. He's a Peter Wright strength in the centres.
Yeah, Sunera Fernando and Ravin Fernando. This is the place that St. Peter's need to get their act together. I think these two can create the victory. And
Ravin Fernando, I think, has been a revelation. So a lot of eyes on Ravin Fernando as well. Then we go on to the back line. That's going to be an interesting place. Dilshan Madhusankar started off as a fly half. Now he's playing at the 15%. Thenuka Nanakara not in today's lineup. Coach must be wanted to bring him on replacements.
Yes,
and then Ishan Fernando and Shanos Villa will be the wings for St. Peter's. Here's a look at Royal College, Tuan Dilshan, Jaya, Rajinu Jayasuriya and Radesh Vijayaratna going from that third row to that front row. Interesting change coming in for Royal College. And then the experienced lads, Aditya Veera Surya and Fadil Adhan. Adhan was that match winner from St. Thomas's. Expect the same from him today. Nothing less, nothing more from Adhan. Adhan will be doing his job today and making sure he gets that line outs, gets the line out right for Royal. And then Asit Radishan, the standout player from last week's encounter, along with Samadhi Dwara and Kevin Samarsekar. Samarsekar has been on point in his flanker position, wearing that number 7 jersey. And now, interestingly, coach has gone with Lehan Gunaratna at number 10. Gunaratna, young Gunaratna, has a lot of experience with him, so expect Gunaratna to make an impact. He was the player of the match last week. Then Nipunya Ashojana will be the halfback. And then Khalid Nandila, player who've been speaking all throughout the pre-game, will be at outside centre. I think last time's Malicha Pereira option did not work at the outside centre. Tole Basan at inside centre. A lot vested on him as the captain as well. Malicha Pereira goes to the wing. Dulan Gunawardhan has been consistent with his kicking. And then Yasis Rashmika. Expect a lot of pace from this lad, Rashmika and Malicha Pereira. And here's a look at the replacements for Peters. First off, Malinga Seshan, Akalanka Pereira, Ranuja Amarasinghe, Mega Dias, Jason Kulatilunga. Sandesh Dimel, surprised on that option to put Sandesh Dimel to the back line. Thenuka Nanakara and Yashoda Mendis will be the substitutions for St. Peter's.
For Royal, it's Induna Idukpitiya, Mohammad Al Navran, Madhushanka Vikum, Lahiru Yomal, Avinka Kulagere Gama, Abdullah Hamza, Wing George and Migara Mahisankar.
Migara Mahisankar interestingly started all the few games. Coach Luke is trying to use his player as a tactical option, and let's see how his gamble works. So that's the team cards. So everything is set as we are waiting the two sides to the ground. It has been a wonderful opening few minutes for the ground. A lot of emotion from the Peter Wright players as well, Peter Wright fans who have played their rugby in this ground, coming back to see these developments in this rugby ground. I think that should be something that each of these players will be pressured.
Yes, Inshaf, and it's a big day for St. Peter's as they open their rugby complex. And going back to with the changes, St. Peter's have opted to keep their vice captain this year, Sandesh Dimel, to the bench.
Interestingly, Sandesh Dimel was St. Peter's best player so far in this single schools rugby league, along with Ravin Fernando. Interestingly, let's wait and see if that gamble works right, because Dimel combining with Fernando and then Dimal playing at first 5'8", I think that has been the combination, the working combination. But then let's look forward to Royal College, so expect Dimal to come back into the game in that second half. Abdullah Yusuf is alongside me. Abdullah, a lot of things have been said before this game. Royal College still unbeaten. I think they were unbeaten for more than 15 plus games, if I'm not wrong. And then St. Peter's College, a lot of hope with the Peter Wrights. What is your say before the game?
Yeah, that's right. As you're talking about our pre-game chat show as well, Inshaf, I think both these teams a lot riding on this game in terms of their title ambitions. So probably what's happened in the past, it's debatable to what extent it will have an impact today. Royal unbeaten, have been managing to eke out those victories over the last 4 weeks. But on the other hand, St. Peter's, they have gradually been becoming better and better with every game since that first defeat to St. Thomas's. So it's very hard to say what kind of role history will play. But today is a new day. Both teams will be absolutely pumped up for this game. You could sense that the supporters, the old boys, present boys of these two schools were eagerly anticipating this game. So it just comes down to who executes better today, who plays tactically the better game today. And the team that does that, I think, will end up as victors.
Couldn't have said it better, much better, Abdullah. The team that does their execution right will be ending up winners. It can go either way, like we spoke about in the pre-game. So a lot of crowd building up from both parties, St. Peter's and Royal. And the dignitaries also making their way to the VIP box in the St. Peter's College grounds.
Yeah, that's right. Again, the crowd slowly but surely building up. I think there's been great anticipation amongst the two teams as well as their supporters for this game. As we can see the St. Peter's team walking out to the ground. St. Peter's captain Bilal Hilmi leading out the team. I think it'll be a massive honor for them to play their first game in this new stadium. And I'm sure they'll want to put in a very good performance.
It's nice to see the young players also holding hands with the senior players. I think that's going to bolster their motivation. I think the players also, the juniors, will be getting a sense of inspiration that someday they also could wear that Peter's jersey and make their way onto the field. So wonderful gesture from the Peterites.
Yeah, that's right. We've seen this happening in international matches as well. It's just an awe experience for these young guys as they get onto the field with their senior heroes. As we see the Royal College team taking the field, they all know what they will be up against today, and no doubt will want to put in a very good performance. The defensive effort today will have to be huge against this very threatening St. Peter's three-quarter line. I think between the forwards there's nothing much to judge, but the battle could very well be won up front.
We Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, now we will show our respect to the college anthem of St. Peter's College, Colombo. Thank you very much.
We now humbly
Finished, and now I think we are all set for that 70 minutes of action. So a lot on stake from both sides. St. Peter's College coming here with a purpose. They know that they'll need to go that extra yard to win against Royal, something they've not done in the past 6 years. Royal College, consistent performers, unbeaten. And here's a look at the match officials as well for the day. Pranith Viranga will be the man in charge of today's proceedings, alongside referee Dinka Piris and Romario de Silva. Yeah, there you go. So Viranga, I think, has been one of the impressive referees of the Sri Lanka Referee Society, I think, coming up the ranks. And I think I expect him to play a fast-flowing game and a continuous game today.
Yeah, that's right. You could see season in, season on, he's definitely improved. And we'll just hope for the sake of today that he let the game flow. We don't want the referee to be intervening too much. Just call what's in front of you. Like to see that there are no yellow cards that be banded unless it's absolutely necessary. And overall, if the referee just lets the game flow, I'm sure both these teams will be up to dish out some exciting rugby for not just the spectators who are at the ground, but all those watching on screen as well.
So the player introduction to the guests of honor. Tuleb Hassan leading this Royal outfit. I think he's playing his fourth year. Abdullah, if I'm not mistaken, last year was the season where he stepped up to his ranks, but then he has been a consistent performer all throughout in the Singer Schools Rugby League, not forgetting his contribution to the Asia Under 27 series.
Yeah, that's right. I think it's his fourth year. So he'll have a big game to play today, not just with ball in hand, but defensively as well. We're talking pre-game about how good this St. Peter's three-quarter line is. So he'll have a key role to play in terms of organizing that defense as well. And I'm sure with his experience, he'll definitely be up for it.
There you go, the guests of honor being introduced through the Peterites. Julian Charles is one of the key players I like to look forward to in this game. Charles has been the line-out throw and a very important cog in that front row for Peters, and then expecting to do the same, but not forgetting Nizra and Nilar I think last year was his first season at St. Peter's, but now he has grown up, and I think he has grown to that second row position. And I think expect a good clash between Nilar and the Royal flankers. Kevin Samarsekar is also another impressive player from Royal.
Yeah, the battle of the third row is going to be huge. Skipper Hilmi, Nizran, and Fernando as well. They'll be up against Kevin Samarasekara, Samadhi Indruana, and Achita Radishana. So that battle in the third row is going to be crucial. To what extent will both those back rows be able to slow down opposition ball? How fast will they be able to get to the breakdown offensively and provide their backs with quick ball? Those little things could always turn out to decide who will eventually end up as victors. So both teams just getting ready, Royal ready to kick off. St. Peter's just going through their final rituals before kick-off. So all the talk has been done and dusted, and we are ready to play, which could very well turn out to be a key battle in the context of this Singer Schools League.
Exactly. So let's see if the Peterites could make a turnaround. It's all to play for. 70 minutes of action awaits in the Singer Schools Rugby League. This is the 5th week of action, and it doesn't get any better than this. Abdullah Royal College playing St. Peter's. Wonderful atmosphere prevailing as well. The crowd is slowly building in. First game here, so everyone's made it a point to make a visit to the Peters grounds.
Yeah, that's right. We're talking beforehand about what a wonderful stadium this is. So both teams will definitely want to put their best foot forward and just try and get a win under their belt, which will give them a lot of confidence going into that second round.
Dulan Gunawardena to kick things off in this week 5 clash. So here we go. We are underway at St. Peter's College. Early exchanges, I think, good intention from Royal first off.
Yes, a flat kick by Dulan, just finding touch there, just outside the St. Peter's 22. So this could very well be another interesting battle at line-out time. Royal's Adil Adhan, real expert when it comes to the line-out. Interestingly, standing in that number 1 position. He's trying to nip whatever St. Peter's have to be able to throw.
Short line out that time from Julian Charles. And looks like there was a slight knock-on. And St. Peter's College win first ball, and that will be the first scrum in favor of the Peterites.
Yes, interesting choice to go to number 1. You have to question why they would do that so early. It's generally a last resort that teams go to if their throws to 2, 4 or 6 are not working. But St. Peter's deciding to start with that. No harm done though. Adhan just putting his hand out and knocking the ball on. So an opportunity for St. Peter's to clear their lines. We have a look at the pack weight. Royal clearly the bigger pack.
Now ball comes out from Ranasinghe. Ranasinghe puts to his fly half. Deep kick doesn't find touch. It goes into the hands of Gunawardena. Gunawardena on the counter attack from his own 10 meter. Running laterally, Dulan Gunawardena finally taken down. Referee has advantage played for Royal. Royal will be looking to use this advantage. Now we are Sojana. Trying to keep the ball in close quarters for Royal.
Stay back, stay, right,
Still going.
Stay back. Stay. Use it.
Now ball out to the fly half, and he puts in the kick, and I think Yasodhana knew the advantage was coming. He tried to use it up for a few phases, seeing there is no possibility. I think he did the right thing.
Yes, maybe a chip ahead would have been a better option just to see whether something would have worked out. But he was very much playing the advantage. But Royal just have got to be mindful with their kicking game. If the kick is done, then they've got to ensure that the chasers are on par. Because we know this back 3 of St. Peter's are very dangerous, elusive runners. And Royal finding some good touch just outside the 22. A great attacking opportunity for Royal. Royal can just get a score earlier on, that will just subdue this whatever emotion that the St. Peter's team are carrying in.
I think an early score will settle things down, settle the nerve here at the Peters grounds. It'll take some time for Royal. Lovely collection from Fadil Adahan, put down that time by St. Peter's.
Yes, accidental offside judged by referee Veranga. Probably have to question whether there was any material impact on that, but nonetheless, a scrum for St. Peter's to once again clear their lines. Royal trying to enforce their driving maul, but nipped in the bud very well by the St. Peter's pack. Would have definitely been working on that during this week.
Steady.
Now Rana Singh with the feed. Out to Pereira. Pereira has his center combinations. Now Ravin Fernando tightly marked is Ravin Fernando. No space given that time.
And ball has been stolen brilliantly by Mishara on that occasion. Turned over. Royal need to spread this out or use it as quickly as possible to make use of that disorganized Royal St. Peter's defense.
Still going Royal ball. Wonderful collection from Fadil Adhan trying to keep the ball, and Royal trying to use their forwards in the first instance. Still going not many meters again that time. Now Yasojana out to his wings, taken down that time. Yasas Rasmika given no space at all.
Stay back.
Trying out other options is Yasojana. And there you go.
Yes, it's held on there, so a moral victory for St. Peter's. Royal have been found wanting at that breakdown, not committing too many players. Doesn't happen very often, so some really good work by St. Peter's on that occasion. And welcoming to the commentary box, Shanaka Amarasinghe. Good afternoon, Shanaka.
Good afternoon, Abdullah. Thanks very much. Good afternoon, viewers on the papare.com for what is still the biggest weekend of the season so far. Lots going on today, and of course, all eyes on Bamba Brigade. If you have any kind of gold or blue in your school flag, everyone wants to be here. So still feeling them each other out, Abdullah. Not a nervous start so much, but as a measured start by both teams. This is an area where the game will be decided on. Nizran taking that line out cleanly at the front. Royal looked like they might not contest for a moment, but then ended up engaging. So the Royal is getting a bit of a dose of their own medicine up front with that driving maul, making about 5 meters. They've managed to set it up again. That's good work, difficult to do. And Pereira drives it forward, the big prop, in plenty of work. The forwards go again, latching on in numbers. Good ball presentation that time, but it's slow ball. Smash behind the gain line. Again, Royal's line speed, which has been a feature of their defensive patterns this season. Coming back on the short side is Ranasinghe. Gives it back to his big forwards who haven't moved too much laterally. Here's a pick and go. Isolated though, but well done by Julian Charles to get back and clean out quickly. Ranasinghe thinks about it, but Royal's line speed is too good for him, so he goes back the way he came and has managed to control the ball, which is well done from the scrum half. And again, a moral victory this time for the other team, Abdullah.
Yes, massive competition at breakdown, isn't it, Shanaka? We were just talking about the two roles of the two third rows, what kind of impact they will have at the breakdown. And we could see on that occasion both teams just going hammer and tongs at each other. And on that occasion, Royal coming out trumps.
So a good kick from Royal to take play into the 40-meter area of St. Peter's. Here's where the infringement occurred. Over the ball there. And the referee clearly seeing it not being released. So more of the same, this time just going the other way, Abdullah, probably.
That's right. Both teams, you can see, are going to be very competitive at the breakdown. So the team that has ball in hand will have to be very accurate.
That's spotted by Dinka Piris. That time Rajendra Jayasuriya did dummy the throw. So it's a technical penalty, but still an offence.
There's a bit of lack of communication on that occasion between the Royal line-out throw. And it doesn't happen very often, but on that occasion, just hesitating one split second. Riveranga had his back towards that, but referee Dinka Piris just managed to spot that and communicated the infringement to referee Veranga.
It's an interesting one for me though, Abdullah, because it's still early in the game. It's still not even the first 10 minutes done. And Royals line-out is one of their strengths. Fadil Adahan is by far and away the best line-out exponent in the country at the moment at schools level. So it's interesting that they would think of going for a number one throw so early in the game.
Yes, we saw St. Peter's do it as well, which is again very, very surprising. So early on, as you said, Shanaka, going for that number one throw. It's something that it's a bit hard to comprehend, really.
It just shows how much nervousness these coaches have over each other's defensive capabilities. Bilal Hilmi goes off the back on the short side, one of the more traditional number 8 breaks that we've seen. Haven't seen a lot of those since the 5-meter rule came into operation. But St. Peter's have made yards through these last 3 phases. Still on the short side, but not going anywhere. Again, Royals line speed up really quickly. And it's surprising that St. Peter's have chosen this tactic, because against Wesley, going wide did help them last week, but against these big Royal forwards, they seem to be hungry for the contact. As we say that they go a little bit wide this time. Was Dimel, Sandesh Dimel restored to the lineup today. Good break that time. Breaking the first line of defense, and now some space. Bilal Hilmi gives it to Ravin Fernando, and here's the break on the outside. Miracle ball inside as well, off the floor. And now Ranasinghe has some runners who are willing. The Peters crowd find their voice. Here's the ball again. Out to the big runners. Here's Dimel spinning out of one tackle. Takes it to ground, and now they'll set it up again. It's nice fast ball this time. And that's the inside ball. Almost finds the space. And now up into the 22, St. Peter's. Still driving forward. Good continuity. Good ball control as well at close quarters in the face of some swarming defense. Roy will have to be careful not to give away the penalty. That's a nice cut back in field. Again making yards. Nizran stepping through. Found the guard napping just ever so slightly. A pick and go by St. Peter's that time, but Royal having none of it. Ranasinghe, the one out rugby again. And now there's a little bit of space. Ravin Fernando stepping back in field. Very difficult to bring down with his low center of gravity. And that's a huge hit. Wonderful defense by Royal. One more time. That time it was Aditya Veerasurya, who has been such a defensive force for Royal, backing down next to Adahan. St. Peter's keep making yards though, and making them consistently, and there's the break. Another miracle ball out of the tackle, and the Peterites now smell blood. They've changed direction to the right quickly, and Ranasinghe has found the space. They've got numbers to burn, and they score. St. Peter's draw first blood at Bambalapitiya, and you can see what that means to the fans. It was a depressing start to the season for them. But if they pull off this one, all will be forgotten.
Absolutely, Shanaka. And what a wonderful phase of play. The way they control position, slowly but surely, just getting over the gain line consistently, pushing Royal onto the back foot, and eventually just identifying space on the short side, spreading out our wide, and Royal found wanting in terms of numbers. So first blood for St. Peter's after a wonderful passage of play, and quite deservedly going up 5 points to 0.
I think when we last spoke, Abdullah, it was about 8 minutes on the clock. So there was a good 4.5 minutes of continuous play. Credit to the players and credit to the referee for allowing that to go on as well. And I thought St. Peter's responded marvellously.
Yeah, that's right. Wonderful control shown by St. Peter's, and also good discipline by Royal. You have to commend them for that effort as well. But the way that St. Peter's just gradually, they did not panic, they did not go out wide too early, just sucked in that Royal defence. And when there was a bit of space, went wide.
And that's an outstanding kick from the right touchline by Sandesh Dimel, who makes it back onto the pitch. Didn't play their last game against Wesley. Perhaps he was nursing an injury. But as you said, Abdullah, that defensive effort from Royal as well to push St. Peter's to so many phases was outstanding work. Here's where the try was created because of that miracle ball that managed to stay in the Pete Wright hands. And this is where Dimel and Tenuka Nanayakkara realized where the space was. You can see them going wide quickly. Ranasinghe recognizing that space, and Tenuka Nanayakkara not needing his skipper outside him.
It's wonderful communication as well, isn't it, Shanaka? Just that ability to see what's in front of you and exploit whatever space available.
Dulan Ganodhara now will aim to win the territorial battle by putting St. Peter's deep in their half. The ball slices off Sandesh Dimel's foot, and he doesn't find a lot of touch. So Royal will aim to hit back quickly and not suffer too much consequences as a result of that well-worked try.
Yes, so the first line out, Royal did go to number 1, very surprisingly. Be interested to see what kind of option they will take. Generally, it's an area where they love to employ their driving maul or rolling maul, call it what you may. So interesting to see whether they will go to Adahan or whether they will go to Achita Radishana at the back of the line out.
Kevin Samarsekar also a target, but they go to the tried and tested Fadil Adahan, who takes this well at the front, and Royal set up nicely. It's a nice shaped wedge, and St. Peter's have driven that back very well. Managed to drive it towards the touchline, so that limited Royal's options, but they still have a penalty.
Yes, Royal will probably consider themselves a bit lucky, but quite correctly penalized for not probably staying on their feet. But you can see that St. Peter's seem to have worked hard on their defensive maul, how to defend this Royal driving maul, and did very well on that occasion to thwart that attacking effort.
Tuleb Hassan probably asking why that wasn't a penalty earlier. He thought that maybe St. Peter's had come in from the side, Abdullah, but I think the issue that people have to understand is when you take the ball at number 2 in an attacking line-out, it makes it much easier for the defending team to spin it around, as St. Peter's did there, and take it towards the touchline.
That, and well as if the team that has the ball is peeling away towards that short line, then automatically there will be that drive on the side as well. So I don't think there was any issue with that.
This is better. They're pushing infield now from Royal. They've learnt their lesson very quickly from the last line out. And referee looks like he's going to his pocket. And he's calling on number 7, is it? Seems to be talking to the Royalists though. And yes, it is Royalist number 7. It looks like it's Kevin Samarasekara who goes to the bin. One of the standout players this season for Royal so far. He sprints to the chair to make sure he stays out of the field as little as possible. Interesting what that penalty was for, Abdullah.
The only thing I can think was Shanaka probably a bit of talk back to the referee, requesting or trying to ask for an infringement. So referee Veranga very early on the game just setting down the marker.
Looked like there might have been some kicking involved. Royals' time is off now, and looks like there will be a bit of a conference.
Come on.
So St. Peter's get out of jail there. Looked like there might have been a slight trip. And that's nicely taken by Nizran. And Nizran is lifted up in the air, but it's not dangerous. Referee says that's stalled once, so they'll have to use this St. Peter's, or if they don't bring it out, they will cough the ball up. But it's there and it's available. They try to set them all up again, but superb defense that time by Royal. Number 19 on the park for Royal, Lahiru Yomal, who made that big hit.
Okay.
Rana Singh now looks for the short side once again. It's not a good pass that time by Johan Fernando. But St. Peter still have the ball. Need to try and maybe get some territory, get out of jail and just give themselves a bit of daylight. Consolidate that lead for a little. Not really looking for the kick though, as Tenukan Anakkara takes this one forward. So knock on. We'll go back to that yellow card and see what Kevin Samarasekara may have done. Yes, that was number 7. He very clearly trampled the Peters player who was lying on the ground, and it didn't look like it was a trample that was happening as he was going forward, Abdullah. He very clearly put his foot to the side.
Yeah, that's right. I don't think you can blame referee Viranga for pulling Samarasekara up on that occasion. You don't want to see that kind of thing happening in this game of rugby. So he will do the time on the bench for the next 8 minutes or so. Royal will need to just manage that playing with one-man shot.
He's a key man for them, especially in defense. High work rate, Kevin Samarasekara, but he certainly won't be doing that again. Yasojana. Again, good hit behind the gain line from Royal. And now it's Royal's turn to bash away at this defense in the hope that something will give. Big man Dilshan Jaya. Yasojana goes short side again. Yasas Rashmika is the first receiver. And they rip the ball away from him. So not the best idea to have your winger coming up in a short space against the big forwards. And that's a nice kick from Ranasinghe. They'll need to follow this one up. And Malisha Pereira runs this one back with some intent. The chase is good though from St. Peter's. It was Ishara Fernando. Royal have done well to hang on to that ball. They've lost a few meters though. Back into the pocket they go. And under pressure. It's a mistake from Lehan Gunaratne.
That's right. I think they're well aware of the threat that this back three of St. Peter's can pose. So when you know that their attacking capabilities, there's always additional pressure to get the kick right, to get it into space. And on this occasion, I think Gunaratne just overcooking it a bit and just going out on the full. So another great attacking opportunity for St. Peter's.
Live pictures on the papare.com of the Singer Schools League as we look out over the far, the Joe Vikramasinghe Pavilion, this brand spanking new facility here at St. Peter's. Nice to see the Bambalapitiya ground being developed. And it is the water break, Abdullah. So early exchanges. St. Peter's looking good for their 7-0 lead. And Royal, especially with that yellow card, will have to make sure they don't cough up any more points. They look like they're a little bit rattled at the moment.
Yes, that's right. You could see that it probably St. Peter's, that's the team that probably settled down quicker between both teams. Royal putting in a very good defensive effort, but the quality of that St. Peter's attack, especially in terms of building those phases and scoring that first try, just shone through.
Well, as a coach, Abdullah, especially when you have a good defense and a team is building up so many phases of pressure, is it clinical? Is it cynical? I don't know. How would you advise them? How do you advise your team to defend? Would you ask them to infringe at some point?
Well, it's a bit of a tough call, isn't it? What you would try to do is at least try and slow the pace of the ball, so it gives your team a bit of time to reorganize their defense.
Everything straight up. Don't forget to join Boa Atakorala on thepapare.com as we come back live with St. Peter's once again making all the play, but that time conceding a penalty for a side entry into the ruck. So again, Royal get out of jail with that one.
Number 1.
Yes, again, Royal just not clinical enough at line-out time. St. Peter's doing well to spoil that. And fortunately getting a penalty, so an opportunity for them to clear their lines.
That's a much better kick. Taking play almost up to the 40-meter mark. Here we see it again, that side entry. There we are. It was nowhere near coming through the gate, Pereira, that time. So he does quite a bit of good work, but also concedes some unnecessary penalties.
So just saw the BC Engie Cup there, the trophy that both these teams are playing for.
Nice take that time by Ajita Radishan. And the Royal now have a bit of a platform to attack from. This is exactly what they do through their truck runners, running off the fly half. Familiar patterns, but they'll go back to Gunaratna. It's carried back, so he'll put this one hard and high. And taken well by Ishara Fernando. Ball is available for St. Peter's, and now the forwards get back in time to support. But Royal have done well to gain some yards. The chase was good from the Royalists. Again, it's a ball taken from a standing start, so really not doing the rest of the forwards any favours. Here's Nizran, puts his shoulder to the wheel.
Brilliant work by that occasion by Royal at the breakdown. Just identifying the correct moment to go over. St. Peter's found wanting of not having enough numbers there and managing to extract that penalty. It's something that has got Royal out of jail many occasions during this season. And brilliantly executed once again. I think it was number 8, Indruan, on that occasion who managed to get that penalty for his team. So it looks like they'll be going to the post. I think it's probably twofold decision, Shanaka. One thing is going to the point, going for points, but also just to try and run down the clock as we have a look at that once again. Wonderful body position and just identifying the correct moment to go over.
Great technique also from Samadhi Indura. His coach was a very good exponent of that particular skill, jackalling. So I'm sure Nishant Leuke would have influenced this forward pack in that particular skill in no small measure. Malisha Pereira will go for the 3 to try and make sure that they don't lose out in the time that Kevin Samarasekara is in the bin. And that's a much better kick than last week. Malisha Pereira seems to have found his pink kicking boots this weekend. And the Royal crowd applaud in relief more than anything else.
That's right. I think Malisha was coming back from an injury last week, Shanaka, so probably not finding his feet, but seems to be on song today. Every point that both these teams can garner in this game will play a huge part in that final analysis. Being pushed to that wing 3/4 position, so probably brought in slowly for his place kicking ability.
And that restart is not well taken by Royal. Needed to make sure they consolidated after that 3 points and not let St. Peter's into territory easily. Here's Ranasinghe. St. Peter's will be content to pound away here. Julian Charles picks and goes, but again a penalty, says the referee, offside. So Charles picked it up from being in front of the ball.
That's absolutely right, Shana. You've got to be behind player at least who is on the ground, if not coming through the gate. So an unforced error on that occasion by St. Peter's, giving Royal the opportunity to clear their lines once again.
Gunaratne, that's a monster kick. Takes play right up into the 22. And can Royal follow up that penalty with something worth more than 3 points? That's what all these fans are hoping for. And watch it again here. Watch Julian Charles. He's in front of the ball. And actually, it's number 5 who was penalised, actually. My apologies to Charles. It was Pereira who was in front. And Charles ran right into him.
Right, putar number sekian. Number sekian.
Kevin Samarsekar is back on the pitch, and that means Royal will have their full complement for whatever is to come next. Radhinju Jayasuriya will have to find his number first, and he does exactly that. The thrower and the jumper in identical scrum caps. And now the Royals set up that nice wedge shape that is so important to get a nice tight bind. And now they've got the leg drive going. Jayasuriya at the back.
Yes, use it. The call has come in. So Royal have no option but to break away. And they've been bundled out to touch. So really good defensive work by St. Peter's at maul time. They did very well to get that first call. Royal just managed to get a mini push forward. But St. Peter's did enough to force Royal to peel away from that maul, and there was not enough space. So the Royal number 2, I believe it's Jayasuriya, just being bundled into touch.
Seemed to have lost his bearings there. Jayasuriya could probably have broken infield and maybe given more of his players a chance to stick with him, but ran himself straight into touch. And that's a dangerous bouncing ball, and Ranasinghe has done well to collect it. And his forwards get back to give him some assistance, but somebody needs to make a break here. Bilal Hilmi is the man who does. In fact, it's Fernando in the number 7 jersey. And Ranasinghe may be still on the floor, so they'll need a base kick.
Stay back, stay back.
As it is way too short an in-goal area for the fly half to try and clear from here.
Hey, get back.
And there was a foot in touch. So it will be a 5-meter scrum.
Putar deadline deal la bola.
And that time it was Hilshan Madhushankar who went back to try and clear, and he put his foot in touch.
There's some really good pressure by Royal. They were aware that they were just, St. Peter's was on their own try line, so that's a lot of pressure to cope with. But the good thing about Royal is how well they maintained their discipline. Did not rush anything. And Madhushankar just stepping on the in-goal line.
Needed to be a bit more aware of where he was, Dilshan Madhushankar. And probably a little bit of inexperience there. Should have maybe hit it up a few more times before trying to clear St. Peter's. And this is a nice blind side available for Royal as well. Samadhi Induvara. And that's a quick tap. Maybe not what they were hoping for. They could have done with a good scrum there. Opens up a lot more spaces to attack from. But Royal have tapped and gone, and they will hope to tap and go all the way. Now the Royal supporters have found their voice. And this will be a test of the Pete Wright defence. This is what we expected coming into this game. Big sets of forwards hammering away at each other. And that particular battle, if not the war, has been won by St. Peter's.
Yes, really good fringe defense by St. Peter's on that occasion. Royal just trying to inch their way close to the line, but maintaining their composure very well. Royal probably just a bit predictable as well. Trying to continuously go on the fringes, but St. Peter's were well organized to thwart that attack by Royal.
Royal will be hoping for a big scrum here. They are under the sticks. No better attacking position, but they find themselves defending. We'll be hoping for a Pete Wright mistake just to let them in. And that is Madhusankar again. This time it's a better kick. And dropped by Dulan Gunawardena. The chase is good from Dimel. And Yasojana gets back to try and calm things down a little bit, but Royal have lost 40 meters there, 35.
Stay.
No numbers outside as Royal have been lining very deep for their second wave of attack. Yasojana, that's where he goes to now. Gunaratna puts a little grubber in through. This could be dangerous. St. Peter's look like they might be showing some adventure here, trying to run out of their own 22. Big defense by Royal once again. That was the number 19, Lahiru Yomal, who has been excellent. Sandesh Dimel puts the grubber kick in. This could be dangerous. Yasojana dances out of 2 tackles.
Back form. No, get back. Release tackle.
Charles makes a tackle on the 22-meter line as Royal drive it forward again.
No, back form. Go away. Stay.
Yasojana goes out to his pod of forwards, again driving it up to the 22-meter line. And here's some razzle-dazzle coming from Royal. Kalindu Nandila taking it straight into the contact. Lehan Gunaratna offers the ball to Fadil Adahan, who dribbles it.
First no.
And referee saying the knock-on is St. Peter's.
It's another good passage of play. The amount in the first 30 minutes, Shanaka, the amount of time the ball has been in play has been brilliant, isn't it? It's testament to both these teams' skill levels. The errors have been very much less. And that's just a hand coming out, fortunately for Royal.
Crouch.
I think that might have been touched as a partial interception, so lucky that the player wasn't deemed to have deliberately knocked that one forward. That's why the pass was not a good one to Adahan. Yasojana, it's slow ball for Royal, but that's a nice step through. Here's Kalindu Nandila. Stays strong in the tackle and still has it. Yasojana now gives it to Dilshan Jaya. Oh, that was Jayasuriya who smashed it forward. And it seems like somehow it has been stolen by Fernando, Johan Fernando that was. And here's the big man, the other Fernando. And now a little bit of space. Should probably have given it. Fernando again in the mix. Made the initial turnover and stayed in the game to support. Ranasinghe now will have to make some good decisions. Senator Fernando that time. And this time Dilshan Madhusankar doesn't think about anything but getting some distance on the ball.
Get back, get left. Number 5.
Puts this back into the 22. Another ball straight up in the air. Nanak Kara's chase is a good one, as is that tackle by Ishara Fernando. And that's going to attract more than a little attention here.
Go.
Bilal Hilmi. And Ravin
24.
Fernando perhaps is the man who
Number
might be in
24.
serious trouble.
Number 24. 24. Okay.
In fact, it's Ishara Fernando who may have taken one for the team. Let's watch the replay here. Here's Ravin Fernando. Ishara Fernando makes that tackle, and yes, there's 2 hits coming in there from him. Yep. That's, well, the question to be asked, Abdullah, is should that have been more than a yellow?
Well, the only thing I can think was he was trying to hit the ball, Chanaga, more than the man. That's the only thing I can think of. But again, a very silly act, really, just putting his team under a lot of pressure. St. Peter's just had all the momentum in their favour. And just to do something like that just puts his team under a lot of pressure. I don't think there was anything malicious where he was trying to hurt the player as such, probably just trying to knock the ball off the Royal player's hands. But nonetheless, just did not look good, did it?
2 completely avoidable penalties resulting in yellow cards for both teams. First for Kevin Samarasekara and now for the dangerous Ishan Fernando. His brother, former captain of St. Peter's, Diat Fernando, will be shaking his head wherever he's watching this game from as Malisha Pereira tries to put Royal within a point. It looks like that one is not struck as well as the last one was. And Dimel will thump this one out into touch to the relative safety of the 40-meter mark. And that looks like it's half-time. It's been an entertaining half of rugby, if nothing else. 7 points to 3, but Royal have kept coming back into that half. In the last 10 minutes, it was pretty much all Royal, Abdullah, which leads us to think that the next 35 minutes is going to be mouth-watering.
Absolutely, Shanaka. It's been a game that has gone to and fro. And both these teams just haven't completely come out of their blocks, isn't it? They're just gauging each other's strengths, gauging each other's weaknesses. But I guess when it comes to the second half, especially going into those final 20 minutes, you could see both these teams, probably a bit of fatigue will set in as well. And this game could just blow wide open.
Certainly could, as we await this all-important second half. This is for the top place in Division 1A of the Singer Schools League 2019. Top place of Division 2A also is going to be decided a little further down the road at Havelock Park between St. Joseph's and Isipatana. That's going to be an important game as well. And Wesley are fighting for their life in the A Division at Mount Lavinia as well. 7 points to 3 here at Bambalapitiya. St. Peter's leading the unbeaten team in this division, Royal College, by 4 points. We'll be back after the break.
දැන් යහ පෝෂා දන්නේ ඉරිඟු සහල් මුං සෝයා විතරක් නෙවෙයි කිරිත් එකතු කරලා. ඒ නිසා මා චේන්ජ් වුණා.
ලංකාවේ ළමයින්ගේ අලුත්ම සොයා ගැනීම. මේක රස එක. මෙලිබන් යහපෝෂ රසයකට චේන්ජ් වෙන්න.
කිසි ගැම්මක් නෑ. පදම පරක්කු ඇයි?
සුමීරි පානේ පදමට ගහලා දවස පුරා ගතට දැනෙන මිහිරක් පුබුදා.
හොඳම මැලිබන් තේ.
කහට පදම නියමෙට රස සමග මුසුණා. මැලිබන් තේ එක්ක අපේ දවස රස වුණා.
පදම වරුනේ.
කහට පදම නියමෙට රස සමග මුසුණා.
මැලිබන් තේ පදමට කහට.
I have news. Let's meet.
To be a man is to sweat for every last inch of it. The harder you push yourself, the louder your body will protest. From sweat to grease, grease to dandruff. Fight back with Clear Men, 2 times the fighting power of ordinary shampoos. Beat grease, beat dandruff. Unbeatable performance for the unbeatable man. Power through the odds. Clear, 0 dandruff, nothing to hide.
ශ්‍රී ලාංකික සැමගේ තේරීම No Limit.
දැන්
Gold Dio Body Spray. හඳුන්වා දෙන අලුත් මාළුත් මාදිලි 4කින්. Blaze, Challenge, Storm සහ Rave. අදම try කරන්න. Gold Dio Body Spray. පැය 24 පුරා.
When she's special, she's not just a girlfriend. She is your sweetheart. When you feel it, you don't just call it sunshine. You call it warmth. When you reveal your deepest emotions, it's not just art. It's freedom. And when its essence is premium cocoa butter, it's not just chocolate. It's Ravello. Chocolate so special, you call it Ravello.
Echo the voices of fun. Fashion inspired by emotion. Glitz, the fashion destination.
සතුට බෙදන නම ඔබ ළඟ රැඳි නම සනසුම දෙන නම එය සිංහ නම මිහිර මවන නම අවස නිවන නම මුළු පවුලට සතුට සදන සිඟ අද විශිෂ්ට විශ්වාසය.
අපේ අම්මා චේන්ජ් වෙලා 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 උඩේකට චේන්ජ් වෙලා 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 යායකට චේන්ජ් වෙලා 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 අපේ අම්මා චේන්ජ් වෙලා යාපෝෂ නැලිබන් යාපෝෂ අම්මා දෙන්න යාපෝෂ නැලිබන් යාපෝෂ
දැන් යහපෝෂා දන්නේ ඉරිඟු සහල් මුං සෝයා විතරක් නෙවෙයි කිරිත් එකතු කරලා. ඒ නිසා මා චේන්ජ් වුණා.
ලංකාවේ ළමයින්ගේ අලුත්ම සොයා ගැනීම. මේක රස එක. මැලිබන් යහපෝෂ රස එකට චේන්ජ් වෙන්න.
කිසි ගැම්මක් නෑ. පදම පරක්කු ඇයි?
සුමීරි පානේ පදමට ගහලා දවස පුරා ගතට දැනෙන මිහිරක් පුබුදා
හොඳම මැලිබන් තේ.
අහට පදම නියමෙට රස සමග මුසුණා. මැලිබන් තේ එක්ක අපේ දවස රස වුණා.
පදම වරුනේ.
අහට පදම නියමෙට රස සමග මුසුණා.
මැලිබන් තේ පදමට ගහට.
I have news. Let's meet.
සුවිසලි ලක්ක වෙනුවෙන් සෑමංගලක් දක්වාම දහඩිය හෙලීම සැබෑ පිරිමියෙකුගේ ගතියක්. ඔබේ උත්සාහය තියුණු වෙන තරමට ඔබේ ශරීරයේ උත්සාහයට අභියෝග කරයි. මුලින් දහඩිය, ඉන්පසු ග්‍රීස්, අන්තිමට ඉස්හොරි. ක්ලියර්මෙන් සමගින් නැගිටින්න කාලයයි මේ. සාමාන්‍ය ෂැම්පූ වලට වඩා දෙගුණයක් ක්‍රියාකාරී ක්ලියර්මෙන් ඔබත් සමග ඉස්හොරි වලට එරෙහිව සටන් වදී. ඔබේ ජයග්‍රහණයට පෙරමං සදන අසමසම ඉලක්ක වෙත යන සැබෑ පිරිමින් වෙනුවෙන්ම සුවිශේෂී ක්ලියර්මෙන් ලොබාංකේගේ මෙන්ස් ෂැම්පූ. Then Gold Dio Body Spray. හඳුන්වා දෙන අලුත් මාළුත් මාදිලි 4කින්. Blaze, Challenge, Storm සහ Rave. අදම try කරන්න. Gold Dio Body Spray. පැය 24 පුරා.
Find yourself in love. Fashion inspired by emotion. Glitz, the fashion destination.
Very good afternoon and welcome back to the Bamba Brigade grounds as we look out over this wonderful new facility here at St. Peter's, and what a better way to induct it than has been these first 35 minutes of rugby between St. Peter's and Royal, all to decide the unbeaten team in this first half of the competition, Division 1A. It's 7 points to 3. We'll show you how it became that. Wonderful passage of play, Abdullah, between St. Peter's and Royal here. Royal keeping that discipline, but St. Peter's with a few miracle balls and with some well-composed play, ending up scoring this try.
That's right. They did very well, really, to just keep on building those phases. Did not force the issue at any moment. just drove, just probed and probed and probed, and eventually Royal defense just been sucked in and creating enough space out wide to put the finishing touches.
Great kick by Sandesh Dimel there. Don't know how important that will be in the final equation. This watch number 7 there, saw that luminous boot coming out for a stamp, and Kevin Samarasekara went to the bin for that. Tried to avoid the referee's attention, but while he was in the bin, Malisha Pereira converted this wonderful kick, but it's the only points that Royal have had so far. This is the other yellow. Watch number 24 trying to punch the ball out of the Royal player's hands, but it didn't look good at all. It looked very much like he was punching the player, Abdullah.
Yeah, that's right. And both those infringements, Shanak, are right in front of the referees or the touch judges' eyes. So just not very clever at all, and something that both teams, I'm sure, will need to avoid going into the second half. Royal will yet have a few minutes, I think, with St. Peter's down to 14 players, and it'll be important that they make maximum use of that and try and bridge this deficit. So both the teams taking the field for this second half. I think both teams got instructions from their coaching staff. The humidity levels is just remaining the same. Will probably get slightly cooler, but not by much as this game progresses.
Well, the breeze has picked up here at the St. Peter's College grounds. It's close to the canal, of course, so there is a little bit of open space on the cricket pitch side of the grounds, which is below where you see it on your screen. Veranga and Julian Charles having slight exchange of pleasantries, and that's the Papare drone showing us this wonderful new spectator experience here at St. Peter's. Really outstanding way that they have developed this rugby ground, and about time that St. Peter's were able to host their games here in this kind of atmosphere, Abdullah, because they have been a regularly good rugby playing team here.
That's right. Thoroughly deserve this kind of infrastructure as well. A lot of spectator comfort, and no doubt that this kind of infrastructure will just take St. Peter's Rugby even to better places.
So it's the league champions from last year playing the knockout champions also from last year. So this game is a big one. It's been a much anticipated game, and just one score in it between both these teams. St. Thomas's go into the break at 10 points to 5 against Wesley, with the visitors leading at the moment. And St. Thomas's are safe, but they will need to make sure that they try and keep the momentum going, whereas Wesley are fighting for their survival in the Cup Championship. The restart is again not handled brilliantly, but Royal will look like they've come out with a little bit more intent in this second half, trying to run it out of their own 22 when they could probably have cleared it. This time they do go to Lehan Gunaratne. His kick will find touch just outside the 22-meter mark.
Yes, a good touch finder considering the pressure that he was under. But again, just outside the 22, a great attacking opportunity for St. Peter's. Just coming back to receiving of kickoff, Shanaka, both teams, they haven't exactly excelled in that area, isn't it? It's such an important part of the modern game. Soon as you score, or just with the start of a half, when you don't receive your kickoff, it just puts so much pressure and gives the opposition team so much more confidence and momentum.
Great take at the back of the line out that time from Nizran. He's been imperious in the lineouts today. Probably has outshone his more celebrated opponent, Adahan. And that's a great drive from St. Peter's as well. Julian Charles walking this forward at the back. It's gone sideways, so the referee will maybe have to give a use it call, and that's coming off the back is the number 7. That was Fernando. Still going St. Peter's, 5 meters short now. Big start to the second half from the home team. Inches short now. And you can almost sense that a try is coming here unless Royal come up with a special effort. St. Peter's, plenty of numbers latching on to Julian Charles as he tries to barge his way over, but they'll come back for the penalty. Ranasinghe will look to take this quickly, but he should probably go for the scrum. Or the line out, really. Entry into the ruck incorrectly. And Dilshan Madhushankar puts his team 5 meters short with a line out to come. Correct call, Abdullah, from Peter's point of view.
Yes, well, considering the fact that the previous driving maul went on very well and they just had Royal under so much pressure, I don't think you can fault them for taking that option. But the execution of this line out is going to be key.
This is a very, very important line out. And they have the confidence to go to the back, and Nizran takes it again. That was an outstanding bit of skill or core skill execution from both the thrower, the jumper and the lifters. And Julian Charles will be desperate that his efforts don't go to waste here. Referee Veranka right on the spot, but held up, he says. So a monumental effort again by Royal to prevent that try being scored. You can see the Peters forwards anguish at the fact that they couldn't get that ball down.
That's right, really good defense, but you've got to question what kind of impact this will have on this Royals physically, Shanaka. They've been under the pump in this second half so many occasions. Some real gutsy effort to keep this St. Peter's attack at bay. You have to question how long more they can do this.
Yes, it is never easy. Same thing happened to Wesley, who defended manfully against St. Peter's for much of that game, and in the end, the last 10 minutes, they had to give way. Bilal Hilmi goes off the back. Good tackle on him by Samarasekara, just does enough to bring him down. Royal, good discipline from them. Here's a barge forward. Is he over the line? No, again Royal get their hands under it. Real desperate stuff here. Rajat Jayasuriya has to get out of the way. Ranasinghe looks for his big prop forward. And Fernando is over the line, surely. Yes, he is. And the big man, who has been one of the most outstanding front row players I've seen for a long time this season, gets a richly deserved try. Senura Pereira rather.
Yes, eventually the Royal defense just unable to hold on up against this St. Peter's offensive barrage. Full credit to them how well they just constructed this. Eventually getting into their big man, and Royal just not having enough numbers to stop him. So a try under the post for St. Peter's virtually with the kickoff. Just the starter they would have wanted in this second half. And Dimel has no problem slotting this conversion over. Or has he missed it? Oh dear.
That's a big miss. A big miss, especially given the fact that he kicked a very difficult conversion earlier. So that consistency will be something that he'll want to find in his kicking game. There you go. You can see Pereira with the ball over the try line. Referee Verango right on the spot. Just can't fault his positioning there. Positioning of referees near the line has been a matter of some conjecture on social media in the recent week. Lehan Gunaratne will bounce this ball in Royals territory once again, and the knock-on is collected gratefully by St. Peter's. Not the best restart again, and Abdullah, as you were saying earlier, again it was that bad restart that allowed St. Peter's to camp in Royals territory for the last 6 or 7 minutes, allowing them to score.
That's right, and again on this occasion St. Peter's not doing that well in receiving the kickoff as well. So work on for both coaches come the second round, but still a lot of rugby to played in this game. You can see the contest at the breakdowns in this Shanaka, both teams throwing everything at it.
Really hotly contested game. It was always going to be one up front. Nicely taken that time by Achita Radishan, who has been deputizing for his number 8. They seem to switch roles quite easily, this Royal back row. It's a very seamless unit. Nice drive up from Royal, trying to get a little bit of momentum back. They're playing way behind the advantage line, and you can see what St. Peter's line speed over the last couple of weeks has done. And again, a needless penalty given away by the Peterites, especially given that Royal were attacking from so deep. Abdullah, no need to go offside.
It seems that Madhushankar was the guilty party on that occasion, just overstepping the mark. And referee Veeranga just managing to identify that. So again, just discipline so important in this game of rugby. Both teams haven't been at their best in that area, and just is very important to maintain your composure, especially when you have the opposition under the pump and when you are not under any threat. You can see on that occasion, I think it was Sandesh Dimel, was it? Who was just not behind the hindmost foot. So nonetheless, another great attacking opportunity for Royal. They've got to try and narrow this deficit as soon as possible.
Yes, they can't afford St. Peter's to get any further ahead. For this game to remain a contest, Royal have to score next. They've made a change at scrum half. Abdul Rahman seems like he has come on for Royal. Nice ball to Malisha Pereira. Lovely step off his left foot. But superb cover defending by Julian Charles, of all people, who managed to catch up to the winger. So that's good work from the front rower. This is better from Royal. Just getting a few more phases together. And as I say that, they drop it backwards. Rahman. Tuleb Hassan will contest this ball, lets it bounce and gratefully grabs the bounce, which is right in the breadbasket. So a lucky bounce there from Royal. Will that spark them? Again, it's a short ball for the forwards to carry it up. That's a good tackle from Madhushankar, and Rahman goes to his boot this time. Dilshan Madhushankar was tracking back, but the chase again from Yasis Rashmika was excellent on the right wing. So perhaps St. Peter's may have, or Royal rather, may have tried to change tactics at half-time. Abdullah maybe decided that they need to get in behind this defence a little bit easier.
That's right, and there's some good space spotted by Rahman on that occasion. Identified that the fullback Madhushankar was out of position. He was away on the right flank. It's a wonderful technique as well, very well executed. There was a lot of space, and if that ball had bounced infield, it would have been very interesting to see which way that would have gone.
So an important substitution, it looks like. Rahman already making a difference to the speed of the game adopted by Royal. In fact, it's Migara Mihisanka who has come on, Abdullah. Apologies to Mihisanka, who put in that very good kick. Numbers not the easiest to see on either of these jerseys. That's a nice little dink over the top by Kalidu Nandila, putting St. Peter's under a little bit of pressure there. But in the end, Madhushankar does well. And that time it was Bilal Hilmi who took it up, assisted by Fernando, who's playing in the second row, although he's wearing 6 on his back. Julian Charles, plenty of work in him. The kick is well fielded that time by Kalidu Nandila. He's Royal's most dangerous runner at the moment, and knocked forward. Yasas Rashmika, who lost that forward in the tackle, was looking to offload, but the low tackle was a good one.
Yes, a really good tackle by St. Peter's. Not sure the Rashmika needed to force the issue on that occasion. He had supporting players coming, so even if he had gone for a breakdown, would have done well to recycle that. But nonetheless, another error by Royal, turning possession over. So we see both the principal of Royal College and the rector of St. Peter's looking on. Much anticipation in the week running up to this game.
Yes, I'm sure they will both be exchanging pleasantries, but there will be some tension as well as to who will emerge winners in this game. And that's great body position that time by Kevin Samarasekar, I think it was over that ball, or Radhishan. Yes, it was Radhishan. Unlucky not to force the penalty at least on that occasion. Ranasinghe looking for a short side runner once again, and this time it's Dimel who loses the ball forward again. So a few handling errors creeping into this second half after we saw such a error-free first half from both teams. Adahan carries. And now Mihisanka will... it's again great rush defense. Ishan Fernando, that's what he was trying to do last time, but doesn't make a meal of it this time. Malaysia Pereira and Ishan Fernando exchanging telephone numbers perhaps there. Give me a shout after the game, mate.
There's quite a bit of niggle between these two teams. Nothing wrong in that as long as it just doesn't overstep the mark. So referee comes back for a knock-on advantage to Royal. Royal just need to try and get some points on the board soon as we have a look at that once again. Sandesh Dimel on that occasion just knocking the ball on. So Royal were playing advantage. There was none there, so referee Veeranga calling back for the scrum.
A little bit of instability in that scrum. So Mihisanka will think about a few options here. Samadhi Induvara was eyeing the blind side quite longingly there. And the penalty comes quickly for Royal from referee Veeranga. And I think Veeranga does Royal a favour by calling them back, because they certainly should have taken that kick and gone further into Royal's territory.
Absolutely, I don't think there was any necessity to take that quick tap there. Nothing much would have been achieved by that. So Gunaratna is looking to find touch just outside the Royal 22. So it looks like we'll go in for a 1-minute water break.
Meanwhile, Wesley extend their lead at Mount Lavinia to 20 points to 7 in the 45th minute, with St. Thomas's having 14 players on the pitch. So Wesley look like they may guarantee their continuance in this cup competition by beating St. Thomas's. Tulaib Hassan, man in your screen there, looking to inspire his teammates. He knows that a loss will be a loss of momentum, if nothing else, for his team. Capturing the essence of schools rugby on thepapare.com. You can survey all the photos of all our schools rugby matches. Ball kicked forward by Tenuka Nanayakara, but the referee will bring them back for the knock-on. But the ball is St. Peter's, so not sure why advantage was not played. Watch this one here. Certainly no involvement by Peter Wright player, but the referee seemed like he had blown it almost immediately. And maybe squandered an opportunity for St. Peter's to go in for a breakaway try.
Well, I think to be fair by the ref, Shanaka, he's given it to St. Peter's. So probably the person was in front of the kicker when he charged. So it's probably the reason why that was given out.
Poetic justice then, because St. Peter's now knocked this one on cold. So the errors creeping in. We spoke about how this would the attritional aspect of this game would affect the teams, Abdullah, and it's affecting both teams because the error rate has really skyrocketed in the last few minutes. It's completely unnecessary stuff. Ravin Fernando there looking at the defender before he had the ball under control.
Just looking at both these teams' three-quarter lineups, I think two players who have been terribly underutilized is Tuleb Hassan at first centre and Ravin Fernando. I just don't think they're doing enough to give these two players an opportunity. Both absolutely contrasting styles, but can be very effective if they're just given the correct opportunity and space.
Agree completely, Abdullah. I think the game plans need to be tweaked a little bit to bring those skippers into play a little bit more. And again, the ball goes to Malaysia Pereira instead of Hassan, who would have been one of those battering ram type players in that position with the skill to offload. And St. Peter's fly up in a pincer movement on the Royal ball carrier. Here we are again with Royal starting well behind the gain line. Samarasekara's pass. He's more like something you'd see in a bowling alley, but they do well to hold on to it. Here's Hassan now. Radishan. And he loses the ball forward, but the referee says there was no release. And good to have him right on the spot there, very clearly saying that Johan Fernando did not release the tackled player.
I think then also one of the pit right players did not roll away, so there wasn't a fair contest. And I think that's absolutely the correct call, Shanaka. You have to have a fair contest at the breakdown, because if teams start infringing at breakdown time, there's going to be a lot of stop-starts. So in that aspect, I think Viranga was absolutely to make that call.
It's very important to give the attacking team a little bit of leeway. Here's Radishan here. Here's the tackle by Fernando, and Fernando is still hanging on to him there, not releasing him before they made a play on the ball. So there has to be a sequence of events. If the players go down, the tackler has to release first and allow the tackle player to place the ball, and then the second arriving player can play it. Important line out that time, taken well by Adahan, and it's quick ball. St. Peter's also up equally quickly in defense, covering that 20-meter gap very quickly. And this time, inching into Peter's territory for what seems like the first time in a long time. At Havelock Park, St. Joseph's are leading by 17 points to 11.
So Royal building
Isipatana leading by 17 points to 11. And Science versus Trinity is 43 points to 10 in favor of the Trinitians.
So Royal are building up a few phases, but not being able to get over the gain line. Again, some very good defense by St. Peter's. It's trying to attack through the fringes. There's not much go forward movement.
And if there is a critique of this Royal team, Abdullah, it's the fact that they're not creating much outside of 10 and 12. They're excellent at this, but they need a little bit more to break down teams that can physically match them.
Absolutely, Shanaka, and I think that's where you have to use guys like Tuleb Hassan coming in at pace, hitting the ball in a flat trajectory. They're very deep, isn't it, the Royal three-quarter line, forcing to put the boot in, and this is where St. Peter's are very dangerous, but so far Royal's chase has been very good. A wonderful turnover at the breakdown. Royal need to use this ball fast.
Yes, it's Rashmika who converted that into an excellent kick. Again, no arms in the tackle, says the referee. But Royal now showing a little bit more desperation in their attack, looking to spin it wide a little bit more. And as Abdullah said, surprising that they're not getting Hassan a little bit more into the game. Haven't seen him really carrying the ball in dangerous positions. But now inside the 22, just inside the 22. Might be when Royals' comeback begins. No arms in that tackle from Fernando that time. Referee right on the spot, absolutely spot on to call it. Ranaja Gonaduwa in the crowd. (23-7) at Mount Lavinia with the visitors leading. So Wesley looking to dominate that game and keep their position in the Cup Championship intact at the expense of Kingswood. A must-win game for the Wesleyites, and even if Kingswood win with a bonus point against Maliadeva, it won't be enough for them if this game finishes this way at St. Thomas's. But all eyes at the moment on this 9-point game between St. Peter's and Royal.
The problem Royal have had, Shanaka, other than just gaining a bit of ground through the fringes, they're just unable to penetrate this Royal the St. Peter's three-quarter defense, isn't it? One reason could be that they're standing very deep. As we have a look at Royal skipper Dushant Luke, very pensive mood, knowing the clock is running down. Royal not out of it, but definitely chasing the game at this stage.
Royal coach, I think you meant Abdullah, is sitting alongside his backs coach Ferretti there. We'll be hoping that these lads will be able to conjure up some magic in the next 20 minutes or so. Again, the maul disintegrated pretty quickly, so good defense from St. Peter's there. But Adahan will lock and load and start again. That's a good ground gain by Royal on the fringes, but St. Peter's recovering. Senura Pereira again there to make those important tackles. Very difficult man to get past when he's the guard dog. Again, you can see that 22-meter line as a reference. They're going sideways, but not too far forward.
And the problem is it's very slow ball, isn't it, Shanaka? So it's just giving St. Peter's the opportunity to reorganize their defense.
So again, just short of the 22 now. They've moved about 15 meters across and 6 inches forward. And now they get some get-go. Jaya. Pick up and go again from Royal. It's not pretty, but it's effective. Mihisanka again to his big pot of forwards close to the line. This is energy sapping stuff here, but the shadows have lengthened here at Bambalapitiya, which is providing a little bit more respite to the players. Much better than the heat of the sun they started off this game in. Royal again in what must easily be the 25th phase in this game, in this particular passage of play rather. Mihisanka controlling where the forwards go, providing the much needed communication. Nizran flies up and makes a tackle. And again, despite so many phases, they're still within touching distance of the 22-meter line. Our Royal. Ball bobbles about, but no knock-on, thankfully. That would have been a travesty after all these phases. Here's Royal still carrying it forward. The cries of Royal at Bamba Brigade have been drowned out by the cries of Peters now. But it's Royal who still have the ball and are mirroring exactly how St. Peter's scored their first try. Strung together, maybe about 30 phases now, maybe more. It's slow and steady going. That's an important carry. Just unable to effect that turnover that time, Bilal Hilmi. In fact, it was Fernando in the number 3 shirt for St. Peter's. Referee Veranga has watched this progress from 22 to 5 meter line without needing to blow his whistle. This is excellent from both sets of players, but he's now got his arm up for a penalty. The Peterite defense has finally caved in terms of their discipline. And this is almost over, is it? Yes, it's a try. No, it's not. It's a penalty. Nizran has come away with the ball, so it is an offside penalty for Royal. Nihisanska takes it quickly, tries to dive in between two big forwards, but St. Peter's recover, and they'll go again, Royal. That's a nice run. Superbly done there. And that's a try, it's scored eventually. Kevin Samarasekara is the man. He has a knack for getting this ball down from close to the line. And despite his indiscretion in the first half, has come back and made amends.
Well, Shanak, we were talking about the Royal three-quarter line, but the forwards seem to be saying that we don't need you, we'll do it by ourselves. That phases of play started virtually from the halfway mark, eventually resulting in that penalty. Misanka taking the quick tap, the Royal forwards once again in position. And Peterite defense finally giving way. It'll just be interesting to see what kind of impact that defensive effort will have on the St. Peter's forward pack especially. And if this conversion goes over, Shanak, it's just a 2-point game with just about 17 minutes to go.
Absolutely, Abdullah. The St. Peter's were never sitting on a good lead. It was just over one score. And Malaysia Pereira will desperately want to put this between the sticks, and he pulls it to the right. How important could that be, Abdullah, in the final equation? That went over a penalty, could have won it for them.
That's right, Shanika, but yet the good thing about it is there's just one score in it. So Royal still have everything to play for. As we have a look at the replay once again.
Mihisanka was the man who took it and drew in all those forwards. Left the fringes a little bit vacant. And Kevin Samarasekara has a nose for the try line. And good technique also to stay nice and low as he bundled himself over for that try. That's a better restart from Royal. A little dangerous for the catcher, who was Radishan. But still managed to keep the player safe and bring the ball down even safer. And that's a big miss. Huge miss for St. Peter's. Have the tables turned, Abdullah? Is this the beginning of one of the most famous comebacks we'll see in a long time?
Time will tell, Shanaga, time will tell, but unforced error from St. Peter's, just giving Royal another sniff. As we have a look at that once again.
Khalid Nandila it was with a long kick. And that time just unable to hold on to the ball. I think it was Hilmi.
Yes, and one thing you have to say about Royal, one thing that they've probably worked on is their kick chase, isn't it? They haven't given the Peterite back three much room to move whenever they have kicked the ball. So it's something that accuracy has definitely helped. As you see St. Peter's ringing the changes.
And after that mistake, Hilmi is hauled off mercilessly. And on the pitch is their number 12, SN Fernando, at least that's what it says on the back of his shirt. Rajiv Pereira looking understandably nervous. The de facto head coach of St. Peter's now. Such an important scrum, this one. It's like Hassan is at first receiver. And this time they use him, and this is why he's so good. Takes a couple of tackles to bring him down eventually. And now back into the pocket they go. Lehan Gunaratne puts this onto the wing. Beautifully taken, but Ishan Fernando has stepped out.
Yes, well, the momentum seems to be changing, Shanaka. St. Peter's under a bit of pressure, just don't seem to be coping with it that well. But Royal just need to keep their composure as well. Still trailing this game by 5 points. With 4 points rather, as we have a look at that once again. Nandila. Nice high kick. Pushing St. Peter's towards the edge. And just stepping out of line. So, be interesting to see what kind of option Royal will take from this line out. The driving ball hasn't been that successful.
Mihisanka, quick ball out. And they've chosen to run hard at the speed right midfield defense now. And they'll start all over again by the looks of things. It was a pinpoint kick, wasn't it, Abdullah? Fernando had absolutely no option but to shepherd it out into touch. Seems like a tactic that Royal have adopted in the last week, just to kick to the corners and put the receivers under pressure and try your luck with the line out. As you said, that defensive effort just before that try seems to have sapped the strength of some of these speed right forwards, who probably could do with a few replenishments in the form of some bench strength. Royals forwards have toiled manfully for the past 67 minutes. None of them will want to go off. Nisanka now again gives it to his spot of forwards at the 40-meter mark. St. Peter's only have to hold out for another couple of minutes. Not sure if Royal knows how close they are to the end of this game, because time has flown in what has been an entertaining encounter, tense encounter. Not really one for the fans, but one for the purists, hasn't it been, Abdullah?
Absolutely a real battle of attrition, isn't it? Royal once again gaining inches, showing tremendous discipline. And St. Peter's from their part too, holding their fort, not giving in.
It's a good bust up from the fringe. And it looks like it's a turnover from Sunera Fernando, the replacement. And as we were talking about, Abdullah, maybe those replacements are what St. Peter's need.
That's right, just shows the fresh legs what kind of impact it can have. And unfortunately, Royal on that occasion just falling short. So could that just be the game changer? The steal that helps Royal.
Could this be the game changer, Abdullah? Dulan Gunawadara runs this one back. stops and goes. He's like a kid on the playground running zigzag, but manages to find a little bit of space. And Royal will continue to attack. That was inexplicable, the way that ball was given away by St. Peter's by not finding touch. These are the kind of things that lose games. And the Peterite player will be desperate that this does not come back to haunt him. The Angi Trophy is on the line here. And all it takes is 15 seconds for all to run this one down. All of 50 or close to 70 meters. But we have to pick a clear player of the match, Abdullah. And we still don't know how this one is going to finish. Any of these two forward packs can really put their hand up. And Mihisanka puts the kick in deep. Not sure why they'd want to give the ball away at that point, but really want to keep it in hand. And St. Peter's have won a famous victory here. A 4-point game. Not sure why Mihisanka wanted to thump this one into touch. But now that St. Peter's have won, it will have to be one of the Peterite forwards, Abdullah. And I think in terms of his contribution in the line-out and in defence, and with some strong carries as well, Nizran would probably be my vote for player of the game.
Yes, Shanak, I definitely go with you on that. I think in the line-out, he just did not allow Royal to have their way. And defensively, True put in a wonderful performance. But also a lot of credit to that entire Peterite pack, isn't it? Really, we thought that they will probably wilt, but they didn't. They managed to manfully defend their lines and eventually getting a well-deserved victory. So yes, I think number 4 from St. Peter's, Mohammad Nizran, a well-deserved man of the match. And a close second is that entire Peterite pack as well, isn't it?
Absolutely. Abdullah Julian Charles was also outstanding. But the line-out really did tilt this game in favour of St. Peter's, because they did manage to sap Royal with a few rolling mauls, tie them up in their territory for a long time and compel them to make some really strong defensive efforts. You can see all the phones out and the St. Peter's team being mobbed by their players. They waited a long time for this. Royal has been somewhat of a hoodoo team for St. Peter's. They managed to spoil each other's parties quite often. But this win would be a big one, Abdullah, especially after losing that first match, the Archibald Pereira Trophy, unexpectedly to St. Thomas's. They have really come a long way since that start of the season.
Yeah, definitely, Shanaka. The difference between this game is St. Peter's took their chances whenever they had to. And just getting those 2 tries in that first half just gave them a bit of a cushion, which you have to say they almost blew, but just had enough in them to throw at whatever Royal had to throw at them.
A wonderful game of rugby, a real attritional battle. Both forward packs going at each other, no quarter given, just the right amount of tension as well, just a little bit of niggle here and there, a few brilliant passages of play, and some outstanding defense was what won this in the end for St. Peter's. So Royal had made almost a season out of defending Abdullah, but this time just the defense was not enough. They've got to look for a little bit of spark of creativity outside 10 and 12, look to get Hassan into the game a little bit more, and that's going to be something that they need to work on before they come up against the likes of Isipatana and Trinity and St. Joseph's in the next couple of matches.
Yeah, that's right. I think Royal just need to try and probably to start off with, try and form probably a bit flatter in terms of their 3 quarters, but that's again for the second round. But again, word of commendation to both these teams. They really put in a really top quality performance today as we have a look at the second half highlights.
This is actually the full game highlights, Abdullah. This is the first try scored by St. Peter's. Great communication, as we said before. Spinning out to the right, recognizing where the space was, and Tenukananiakkara diving over gratefully for that try. And although Sandesh Dimel missed an important kick later in the game, those 2 points were crucial. 7-point cushion, and Royal conceding an unnecessary yellow card here. Number 7 there, you see him stamping on Senura Pereira. It didn't do too much damage. He stamped on his buttock almost, so wasn't on his head. That's why it was just a yellow card instead of a red, and a good conversion by Malaysia Pereira to make sure that that sin bin period was not a bad one for Royal. And just Ishan Fernando trying to punch the ball out of the player's hands, but just absolutely not giving himself a chance with that yellow. And Senura Pereira, I thought, were an outstanding game as well, going over for that try.
Yes, and this was Royal's try as well. This penalty came after an attack that they launched by just attacking the fringes virtually from the halfway mark, eventually drawing the penalty, and just St. Peter's just did not have enough to stop this. So Royal just going there to narrow the deficit, but eventually just proving that it was not enough. Samarasekara going in for Royal's only try in this game.
2 tries to 1 is how it finished, and just a 1 conversion, and Malaysia Pereira with 1 penalty as well. So only 5 points coming off the boot in this game, Abdullah. But for Royal, their effort to tries ratio is just not efficient enough. They take a lot of time and they expend a lot of effort in scoring, and that's something they need to try and fix. They scored some outstanding tries against St. Thomas's and even against Wesley, wide-ranging side-to-side tries, and they need to somehow recreate some of that as well. Maybe look to getting Khalidun Andila in at first receiver a bit more often.
Yeah, that's right, and I think they can do that when they constantly get onto the front foot and get quick ball. But as today, they've met a pack that was up to the contest with them. And when they did that, they did not get enough front foot quick ball. And when that happens, they do tend to struggle. But it's something that can be fixed if they just get the ball into the correct personnel at the correct time. And I'm sure it's something that they will look forward at working on going into the second round.
Nizran Nila is our player of the match today, but all 16 forwards on the park could probably have laid claim to that title. He's our clear player of the game today, but what a match it has been here, this wonderful new complex of St. Peter's, and what a way for them to celebrate with the BC Angi Cup being the trophy that they take away this evening.
Yes, fully deserved as well. They couldn't have asked for a better way to start their games in this wonderful new stadium, and thoroughly deserved as well. So full credit to St. Peter's, on a well-deserved victory. And they've definitely kept their title hopes alive as well.
8 minutes to go at Havelock Park, Abdullah, and St. Joseph's are leading by 18 points to 17. So this is not the closest game that we have today. And St. Thomas's have just scored at Mount Lavinia, and means that they will come up to 26 points to 22 against Wesley, but it might be a too little too late for them because that game is almost time up there. And Wesley will come away with a desperately needed win to keep themselves up in the Cup Championship. But 18-17 between St. Joseph's and Isipatana. How is that game going to finish with 8 minutes left, Abdullah? So much going on, and this is Ravin Fernando and the rest of the Peter Wright team. Bilal Hilmi made a mistake late on in that game, which he will be regretting, but it didn't cost anything for his team. And the Peter Wrights thoroughly deserve this win, and you can see what it means to them.
Yes, just what they wanted. The first game in this new wonderful stadium. Couldn't have asked for it against a better opponent as well. And they've won this game through a very gutsy effort, you'd have to say, Shanak. It was not a game that produced a lot of flair, but it was just an attritional game that they managed. It was really an arm wrestle, really, that they managed to come out on top, and that will also please them, isn't it? Because Royal are well known for their efforts when it comes playing it tight, but St. Peter's definitely stood up to that onslaught and came out deserved victors.
Yes, a good mental strength display from St. Peter's, and it's fair to say that they probably beat Royal at their own game. Speaking about beating, Wesley have beaten St. Thomas's at home. St. Thomas's losing at home for the second time this season. Their last loss was to Royal, but Wesley with that desperately important win. 26 points to 24 is how it finished, after Wesley led 20 points to 7 at one stage. And Tarindu Walpita putting over a few crucial penalties to make sure that Wesley stayed in front. The teams congratulating each other as they pass by on the staircase up to this new presentation area and the air-conditioned boxes. Abdullah, we could have done with one of those today.
Yes, most certainly could have. But also a moment of thought for the players, Shanaka. It was very hot and humid conditions, and the effort they put in has to be commended. Both teams gave it everything they have got, and St. Peter's just proving to have done enough to clinch this game.
And good to see that the players congratulating each other as well, Abdullah, and meeting the heads of each other's schools as well. Game is played hard and no quarter given on the pitch, but it's nice to see that off the pitch that it doesn't spill over.
Yes, most definitely. There's quite a bit of niggle during the game, wasn't it, Shanaka? Just a few words, a few pats on the back of the opposition. But it's all part of the game. It never crossed the line as it was. And that's the spirit this game should be played in. And great accolades for both teams on a wonderful game of rugby.
Peterite crowd milling around. It's not often that they get to say they've beaten Royal. And you can see what this means for these boys. The loss in the Archibald Pereira Trophy encounter would be all forgotten by the annexing of the Angi Cup here today. And this really opens up the competition, doesn't it, Abdullah?
That's right, it most definitely does. So it's either St. Joseph's or Isipatna who will be the only remaining unbeaten team in this competition. But that could mean very little going into what's going to be a wonderful second round of schools rugby. Both teams, I think, all teams rather, will take a well-earned break leading up to the Aurudu. Lots of rest and recuperation will no doubt happen. Bit of conditioning, putting your feet up. Probably a bit of time with the families. But remember that these teams, it's not just the last 4 weeks, Shanaka. They've been training virtually from the end of last year. Their pre-season, in-season training. It's a lot of effort being put in, a lot of resources being pumped in to get these kind of results.
And with all that, Abdullah, with all those resources that you mentioned, it's good to see a game like this actually coming out. We've seen some games which are very low on skill, some games which haven't really lived up to the billing. But this was a game that was worthy of the kind of attention that it gets. The Papare.com very happy to bring you all these games live, and this one especially has been one for the ages.
That's right, and one of the most noticeable features of this game, Shanaka, as you said, it's not a game that where we saw end-to-end rugby, but the number of errors was at its bare minimum, and what resulted from that is the time of the ball in play was very high, which what all spectators would want, and that's probably a key indicator of the quality of the game, and that's definitely what we saw today.
The quality of the players also, and hats off to referee Weranga. I thought he was on the spot, made some difficult decisions that had to be made as well, and control this game well. It's always difficult to control these forward battles, Abdullah. It's so physical, but he did a very good job, and commendation also to the coaching staff for building these players up in a manner that they can execute these skills.
That's right. So it's all those components that really came in today to get the game that we did today. A wonderful game to christen this, the opening of this Joe Vikramasinghe Pavilion and this wonderful stadium here in Bambalapitiya. And there is no doubt that with the stadium coming up, we'll see many more wonderful games as we did today.
And this decides this competition in this particular segment of it, Abdullah. Now we move on to the Cup and Plate Championships, but this group stage is now over, and we have St. Joseph's who have just won the game against Isipatana at Havelock Park, and they will top their group. Isipatana will finish second. Trinity and Science will also go through in that group. That was decided pretty early. But in this group, we had to wait until the final day to decide who goes through. And Wesley will be going through, as will St. Thomas's, and these two teams, Royal and St. Peter's. We'll have to wait and see who tops the group, because Royal have one loss and now St. Peter's have one loss as well. So neither of the teams are unbeaten in this group. So we'll have to wait and see how the bonus points fall as well. to decide who tops this particular group between St. Peter's and Royal.
Yes, and the permutation, especially with regard to this group, was wonderful, wasn't it? Every game had something to be played for.
We can cross over now to Inshaf Kafur, who's with Bilal Hilmi.
Hello, and I have with me the winning captain of St. Peter's. Bilal, talk about the victory today.
We started off pretty well, and we stick to our game plan from the start. And the main thing was the boys played their hearts out. 70 minutes, we gave it all out, and we played this match for Marty sir.
So Bilal, you started off your season in a very disappointing note with a loss to St. Thomas's. Now we are on top of the Division 1A segment. How does that feel for St. Peter's College?
Yeah, anyways, our target was to be unbeaten in the first round, but we couldn't do that. So we knew that Royal match is a vital match, so we did all the preparations needed for it, and now we won it.
So top of the table, Bilal, at round 1, what is St. Peter's College's intentions for the second round?
We are going to take every match seriously and go match by match and go to our target.
One last question, Bilal. Talk about the fans from St. Peter's College behind you today at St. Peter's College.
If it was not for their support, we wouldn't have been here. And I thank everyone who came to watch the match. Thanks. Yeah.
So there you go. That was Bilal Hilmi, the winning captain of St. Peter's College, winning that BC Young trophy after a long lapse of 6 years. And it's back to the commentary box.
Thanks very much, Inshaf, the jubilant St. Peter's captain, the jubilant and fatigued St. Peter's captain Bilal Hilmi, talking to Inshaf Kafur of the Papare.com down there just after the presentation. Well, that brings an end to our production for this evening, but we'll tell you what we've got to expect in the upcoming weeks as well. In the B division, we have Vidyartha taking on Dhanbaraja at Nittavala, and at Longdon Place, DS Senanayaka will take on Lumbini. That's on the 1st of April, that's on Monday. Tomorrow, Vidyartha will play Dhanbaraja, and both those games will be live. Thanks very much for joining us on the Papare.com, sharing the passion of the Singer Schools League 2019 with you, sharing the passion of Sri Lankan sports with you for the last 10 years and more. From Abdullah Yusuf and myself, and with all the Papare crew joining me to say thank you very much for joining this production. We'll bid you good night now and see you in the upcoming week.